The best people I have ever met are on this campus, and that's both students and faculty and staff.
I just love teaching science, period. So that's my primary joy. And particularly in a small classroom setting, I get to know my students very well. We can interact well, and yeah, so it's an overall enjoyable experience. I also enjoy being here because I get to interact with colleagues from different disciplines that are quite different from mine, and that helps me to broaden my own perspective on my own discipline.
There's such an interesting group of people with whom we can get into such excellent conversations, right? And I just feel so, it's a real privilege to be able to work in a place with such a gifted and dedicated group of people, interesting people.
I think we are unusual here in CMU in the sense that probably each of us thinks some kind of practice is required to have integrity to be here and teach this. We have our places of passion, and there's quite a diversity of what those passions might be.
Teaching is got to be the highlight of what I do here. My teaching is mostly with graduate students, some upper level undergrads, and this year I taught my first straight up undergrad course. But there's always this sense, especially because I do mostly seminar format courses, where I come with stuff I've prepared, things I've discovered I want to share, but it's a seminar. Stuff comes at me, I don't know what questions are going to come up, so that's the kind of the high wire, like you don't know which way the wind is going to blow on a given day. Or it's like jazz, where I've got a framework, and it's like, okay, now we're going to make things up here, and I'm amazed at some of the things I say, and I'm amazed at what other people contribute sometimes. It's really quite wonderful, but it's very dynamic.
Of course, I love the fact that for 34 years I've had fantastic colleagues, faculty and staff at CMU who are, I couldn't have imagined a better place to work. But really the most important response is students.
Without a doubt, I love the students. Nothing beats our students. They're so curious, they're so interesting.
Students are what this is all about, right?
I think what I love the most about my work is the students. There's so many things, but my students are really, really exciting to work with.
Our students are well-read. They are well-prepared students. They come here, they're full of curiosity.
So many of them just seem to have a very innate curiosity about how their world works, and also seem to have a desire about how they could make an impact, and not only scientifically, but just in general.
The students here are amazing young people. They have such a passion for the world around them. They want to make a difference.
I get students that are interested in all kinds of things, and the way that disciplines interact, the way that faith interacts with life and science. I do get much more broad questions. I have had philosophy majors in my classes. I've had BTS people, just so many different backgrounds that I didn't really engage with before, that I can get a very much more interesting dialogue in some ways. They make me think about my discipline in a way that I might not have thought about it before.
Because this kind of education, you don't plug in a student at the front end and 3 years later spit out a product. This is an investment for the long haul.
Because they're people who want to contribute positively to the world. And so you're engaging with folks on these positive, super important questions of our time.
I love that my students are willing to explore with me in class things that I find fascinating. And they're gracious and they're supportive and they're patient with that. And so I love being in class with them.
Nurturing the mind, minding the heart, mending the world.
The Gospel of John, I really like the Gospel of John. The whole thing. The whole thing. Front to back. I love it.
Mystery is not the unknowable, but the infinitely knowable.
There are 1,000 reasons to live this life, every one of them sufficient.
Ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what they were built for.
Turn us again.
The presence of one person's beauty does not take away from yours.
The purpose of psychology is to give us a completely different idea of the things that we know best.
It says every scribe who's been discipled in the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out of their treasures new and old. I thought, that's what I want to do.